Well, thank you for joining us today to take part in this important event featuring messages from the Honourable Todd Loewen, Minister of Forestry and Parks, regarding the upcoming fire season in Alberta. We're also very fortunate to hear a few words from His Worship Tom Picard, Mayor of Whitecourt, after the Minister's address. I'm Todd Nash, and I represent the Forest Resource Improvement Association of Alberta, or FRIA. FRIA is a forestry association that has a mandate delegated from the Minister to administer funding programs that help to sustain and enhance Alberta's forest resources. As part of this mandate, FRIA administers the Community Fire Guard program and the FRIA Fire Smart program on behalf of Alberta Forestry and Parks. We really appreciate being asked to participate in today's event and introduce the Minister and the Mayor. Our association and our stakeholders, that include communities, workers, and businesses that are associated with Alberta's forested areas, are keenly aware that Alberta's fire season has just begun. This marks an important series of tasks related to wildfire prevention, risk reduction, and preparedness. The Minister provides strong leadership for Alberta's wildfire management program, including these upfront activities. We know he places a high priority on maintaining and enhancing the province's wildfire management capabilities. And we know that he is a strong advocate of community-based activities that help mitigate the impacts of wildfire. At this time, I would like to ask the Honourable Todd Loewen, Minister of Forestry and Parks, to come up and share some key messages for us.
Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for being here. And I just want to say that I'm proud to be here with some of our wildland firefighters behind me here, the men and women that really do the work out there on the landscape. So as many of you know, March 1st was the beginning of the official wildfire season. Our government has been hard at work since the end of 2024 wildfire season to make sure we are prepared for what's ahead. Each year, we are reminded of the devastating impact that wildfires can have on our communities, our families, and our landscape. Alberta has faced unprecedented wildfire challenges over the last 2 years. And as the province enters the 2025 wildfire season, our government is focused on a three-pronged approach to tackle the threat of catastrophic wildfires: prevention, mitigation, and readiness to respond. Just a few days ago, I was in the legislature when the Finance Minister introduced the new budget. Minister Horner spoke to all Albertans about meeting the challenges facing us today, and I'm pleased to say that we are. In addition to the continued investments in education and health, lower taxes for families, and a focus on supporting the economy, Budget 2025 continues to prioritize wildfire mitigation and response with significant investments. Our government is building on our commitment to prepare for, prevent, and mitigate the impacts of catastrophic wildfires. This year, we are allocating a new historic high of $160 million in base funding for wildfire personnel, equipment, training, and contracts for things like aircraft and night vision-equipped helicopters. Alberta is home to some of the best firefighting personnel in the world, and our teams are well-trained, well-equipped, and ready to respond to any wildfire incidents. Through this renewed investment, we are ensuring that we can mobilize significant resources quickly and effectively when needed. That includes adding an additional night vision helicopter to our arsenal, which will increase our ability to fight fires around the clock, and especially at night when temperatures are cooler and the humidity is higher. That was a real game changer in recent years, allowing us to respond quicker and more efficiently to wildfires as soon as they are detected. The Community Fire Guard Fire Smart programs are critical to ensuring vulnerable communities in the forest protection area have the tools needed to successfully mitigate the risks of wildfire. In addition to ongoing work on fire guard projects across the province, including in the Bow Valley near Canmore, as well as Cypress Hills Provincial Park, Hinton, Whitecourt, and Slave Lake, through Budget 2025, our government is allocating an additional $15 million to continue supporting projects being administered by the Forest Improvement Association of Alberta. Alberta's government is also allocating nearly $11 million to ensure Albertans can easily access fire-smart resources to better protect their homes, communities, and properties. We are also providing more than $1.4 million in additional capital investment to expand and enhance response capacity during the wildfire season. Additional capacity is critical during times when many fires are burning at the same time. Getting crews on the ground sooner means that we can respond to fires before they've had a chance to increase in overall size and danger. This year, Alberta Wildfire is also launching a pilot project using hoist-equipped helicopters. These helicopters will enable rapid deployment of crews to remote, hard-to-reach areas and provide critical support for emergency evacuations if needed. One new helicopter is under contract and 2 specialized crews have been hired for this wildfire season, with the possibility of adding more. Overall, this year we are maintaining the same number of firefighters put in place last year, and many have already finished their fitness test training and have received their job offers. I'm extremely proud of all the incredible skill and dedicated and the courage that the Alberta firefighters have, and I am confident that with these investments, they have the support, training, and equipment needed to respond to whatever challenges this wildfire season brings. A key part of prevention efforts is stopping wildfires before they start. It is essential that every Albertan understands that wildfire prevention is a shared responsibility. Every action counts in protecting our communities and our natural resources. Last year, the province saw a significant decrease in human-caused wildfires. In 2024, there were 282 wildfires caused by residential and recreational fires, down from 385 in 2020, 395 in 2021, 399 in 2022, and 303 in 2023. This represents a nearly 30% drop from the highest numbers we saw in 2022. While I'm deeply encouraged to see this, now is not the time for us to pat ourselves on the back. It is more important than ever to continue building on that progress to further reduce the risk of future wildfires. As part of these efforts, Alberta's government is renewing its commitment to public awareness and education campaigns on safe practices, while also enforcing fire bans when necessary. I would also like to remind Albertans that they must have a permit for any burning in the forest protection area. I encourage everyone to follow fire bans and restrictions, download the Alberta Wildfire app, and stay informed. And don't forget to check in on your burn sites and your campfires, and follow the soak it, stir it, and then soak it again method to ensure the fires are extinguished completely. By working together, we will be ready to face whatever the 2025 wildfire season brings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Loewen. I know that the Minister would be happy to take some questions after our next guest. With a few words from a forestry-based community, I'm very pleased to introduce His Worship, Tom Pickard, Mayor of Whitecourt, who will share some of his perspectives as a leader of a forestry-based community. Tom?
Thank you very much, Minister, crew. I just want to talk about Whitecourt. We're right in the boreal forest. We're right on the edge. For many years, in the past, we've hosted a station just like this in Whitecourt. And this year, we're just completing our perimeter, a 4.5 kilometer, 100 meter wide fire guard around our town in conjunction with FRIA and government support. We're very pleased that the last sections of that will just be requiring some drought-resistant seed here in the spring when it warms up. It's a great initiative. We're also involved in the FRIA Fire Smart program, and we're just very appreciative. Whitecourt is a resource-based community, lots of forestry around us, and I really appreciate the effort that the provincial government and all of Albertans are taking to protect our resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you all for being here today. Your interest and support for Alberta's wildfire management efforts is much appreciated. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Alex for any questions or further comments.
Thank you. That concludes the formal section of the announcement. We will now open the floor to questions and answers from the media. When called upon, please list your name, your outlet, and we will restrict it to one question and one follow-up. We will begin with the floor and then move to the phone lines. Does anyone want to go ahead?
How are the numbers for firefighters coming this year? Do you have enough? Are you short? No, the recruitment has been fantastic, and so we have all the numbers that we need right now. We're just finalizing the hiring process. They've all passed their fitness test, and we have the contracts with them. And the next stage will be the training, and most of them are students, so once they get out of school, then we'll put them straight into the training process.
Perfect. Sorry, before your follow-up question, would you mind just, and then just your name and your outlet?
Yeah, Paul with Global News.
Yeah.
And how was the agreements, when forest fire season kicks in and into high gear, there's not enough, never seems to be enough bodies that you have to pull from everywhere. What are the agreements like to pull from other places in Canada and even the U.S.? I mean, has that changed any this year?
No change this year for that. We do have the organization, a Canadian-wide organization that we contact when we need firefighting personnel or sometimes equipment too, like the planes. And so once we make that request, then they search across North America and around the world for personnel and aircraft to come help.
Thank you. If there are no other questions on the floor, we will move on to the phone lines. Operator, can you patch the first caller through?
Your first question is from Matthew Skase from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Thanks for taking our questions today. The contingency fund obviously boosted by about $2 billion to $4 billion. Is there a portion of the contingency fund Alberta Forestry can bank on? Because obviously the reason, as it was explained, for the contingency fund being doubled was to respond to any economic uncertainty created by the tariff situation.
Yeah, so the contingency fund is used by multiple government departments, and obviously in the past couple of years we've been a large receiver of those funds. It was increased, as you say, to $4 billion this year, and I don't expect that there'll be any problems accessing those funds. For Alberta wildfire, we've never had a problem in the past, and this government is committed to making sure that we have the funds to fight wildfire as we need so.
My follow-up is on the same note. About $2 billion was pulled last year as a result of wildfires and indemnity payments to agriculture producers. What portion of that went to wildfire recovery and all that, and then what breakdown went to ag producers?
I don't know the exact breakdown. We'll probably have to get back to you on that, but I believe it was around $540 million went to Alberta wildfire for a wildfire response, and I'm not sure about on the ag portion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Operator, can you patch the next caller through?
Your next question is from Acton Clarkin from CBC News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. So Jasper is rebuilding after last summer's wildfire. All kinds of materials need to be sourced, transported in. There are contractors living in these camps nearby, or that's the plan. It means that rebuilding costs are already high. Now, tariffs could make these costs even higher. Will you be further helping people in Jasper looking to rebuild now that these U.S. tariffs and the retaliatory Canadian tariffs are in place?
So that's probably a better question for municipal affairs as far as any kind of funding going to Jasper. We've been very active all the way along in helping where we can when it comes to rebuilding Jasper and getting them back on their feet again there. And this government is committed to make sure that that happens. But as far as specific funding in regards to the tariffs, again, we'd have to ask the Municipal Affairs Minister.
And a follow-up still about Jasper, about interim housing. So people are already living in federally sourced interim housing there now, and the municipality says they're still open to working with the province on provincially provided housing. Where does the province stand now on interim housing for people in Jasper?
Again, maybe more of a municipal affairs question, but again, we've offered a lot of help all the way along as far as housing and making sure that Jasper can get on its feet as quick as possible. So we'd be happy to continue to work with Jasper moving forward, but again, any specifics would be better asked for the municipal affairs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Operator, can you patch the next caller through?
The next question is from Tim Brook from CTV News. Please go ahead.
Hey, Minister, thanks for taking my question. I know you mentioned recruitment is going well this year. We're still hearing some concerns from some municipalities, one union in particular, that maybe staffing could be better. I just want to hear from you. How do we make Alberta a more attractive place for people who are looking to work in this field? Because right now we're losing a lot of of potential staff to British Columbia, Quebec, et cetera. So how do we make Alberta more attractive and therefore make recruitment a little bit easier?
You know, the recruitment has been going very good, actually. So as far as making it more attractive, when we finish a wildfire season, we always make an offer to the firefighters from that season to come back. That's something we do right away. We make sure that we're getting the word out because we know a lot of the firefighters are students, and they usually only fight fire while they're actually in between years in their education. So if they're in a college program, they might only have 1 or 2 years of firefighting before they get on to their vocation, and if they're university, they might only have 2 or 3 seasons of firefighting, and that's the way it's always been in Alberta, and it's like that probably in every jurisdiction in the world. But again, the recruitment has been going well, and we want to make sure that we keep our experienced firefighters as much as we can, and we make sure that we make sure they know that they have a job with us when the season's over.
Thanks. My follow-up question, I seem to remember a year ago having a press conference just like this one, and we were talking about there was something like 60-something wildfires, active wildfires, at the beginning of the wildfire season. Right now, obviously, a very different scenario. I'm just wondering, how prepped are we as a province for this wildfire season? Just knowing, it's off to a little bit of a slower start, knowing that 2024, despite what happened in Jasper, was an improvement on 2023. So how prepped are we comparatively?
I think we're very well prepared. You're exactly right. We're going into this season substantially better shape than we were last year. I think our holdover fires on January 1st this year was 6, and last year was 64. So that's a substantial difference in numbers going into the season. And but as far as our recruitment, our training, our prep with equipment, the added dollars to be able to do that in the budget, I think we're in a lot better shape than we were last year. Also, the wildfire mitigation in some of our communities that were mentioned earlier, I think that's incredibly important to realize that work's being done. A lot more work to be done on that, enormous amount to be done, but we're working as hard as we can on that. Communities are excited to be involved with the program, and we're seeing good work already happen on the landscape.
Thank you. Operator, can you patch the next caller through?
Your next question is from Cindy Tran from the Edmonton Journal. Please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Thank you so much for taking my question. So my first question pertains to Alberta wildfire. We spoke to them a few weeks ago on a tour of the command center, and they were saying that still one of the leading causes of wildfires remains human-made fires, and communication to Albertans and visitors are only doing so much. So what is the province doing to lower the threat of human-made fires right now?
We obviously have to, keep the campaigns going on preventing wildfire and keep getting the message out. And I appreciate the job that you do as far as having articles printed on and news put out about that situation as far as human-caused wildfire. So I think that's great work there. And again, we just got to keep getting the message out. Every time that we have an opportunity to speak or talk about wildfire, we do have to talk about making sure that everybody's doing their part when it comes to wildfire.
But just to clarify, also not my second question, but is there anything that you can do outside of communications to further prevent human-made wildfires?
Well, during the season, we'll sometimes put in bans in certain areas that restrict the activities that happen on the landscape. That's something that we do as the season goes on, and if we see areas that may need a little extra help to keep traffic down. So that's something that we'll do as we move along.
Thank you.
And for my follow-up, it's on the topic of tariffs. Obviously, they're being imposed today. The Premier had put up a statement calling them unjustifiable, yet there's still no word yet about the full Alberta response. One, what do you have to say to Albertans who are waiting for a response from the government? And are you concerned that wildfire preparedness might be hit by the impact of tariffs?
Yeah, I don't expect any change to our wildfire preparedness due to the tariffs. We're very disappointed in the tariffs being applied. It's something that we definitely didn't want, and we tried to avoid at all costs. But that decision's already been made. I think you'll probably be hearing more from the Premier, maybe even later today on that subject.
Thank you. Operator, can you patch the next caller through?
The next question is from Dennis Cofton from CBC Fort McMurray. Please go ahead.
Prime Minister, the question is primarily for you. Could you please specify or I guess elaborate what sort of preparation efforts are being done specifically in the Wood Buffalo region, which had some very large wildfires last year and has a lot of forest and lots of oil industry as well?
Yeah, what we do with Alberta Wildfire, what they do is they focus their attention on the areas that are most likely to have a wildfire. We have our crews stationed across the province and to make sure that we have the province covered, but we do focus our equipment and personnel where we feel the highest risk is. And so if the Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo area, if it looks like it's going to be an area of concern, then we'll be able to focus more personnel and equipment in those areas. I'm not sure, did you want to add anything on that, or is that kind of, nope, okay.
You got it.
Yeah, okay.
We put the crews where we need them.
Yeah, we put the crews where we need them. That's the bottom line.
And as a follow-up, can you please talk a bit more about what sort of work you're doing with municipalities to make sure that Alberta Wildfire and municipal emergency services operate in synergy if the need arises?
Yeah, so we're in constant communication with the municipalities and especially the municipalities in the forest protection area to make sure that they're prepped, we're prepped for the season coming up. So that kind of communication goes on every year as we move into the wildfire season to make sure everybody's prepared. Again, did you want to add anything there?
We are always exploring opportunities with our communities to do things like hazard reduction burns, which reduce the fuel load that would be outside of a community. It helps to slow the spread of a fast-moving wildfire that we would typically see in the springtime.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. So operator, can you put the final caller through?
Your next question is from Sean Amato from City News. Please go ahead.
Hello, Minister. Wanted to touch on tariffs again. I understand this is not your primary focus, but as a cabinet minister, just wondering what you think Alberta should do. There's other provinces are pulling American liquor off the shelf. Some are tearing up contracts with American companies. Others are threatening to withhold energy or something like that. What do you think Alberta should do in response?
You know, we will have to respond, of course, in this situation. We would prefer not to be in a situation, but and as far as specific responses, again, I'll leave that up to the Premier to announce.
Okay, your government has spent a considerable amount of time and money in the United States doing diplomacy, trying to convince the Americans not to put in these tariffs. I believe you've made some trips as well, although tariffs were not your primary focus there. Did those diplomatic efforts fail? Was that a waste of money? Were Albertans duped, you think, by a White House that was not really interested in doing diplomacy? They wanted to bring in tariffs anyway.
Oh, I think it's pretty clear that it did help, actually, and we at minimum we got the extra month, and when I look at our oil and gas tariffs, it's 10% instead of 25%. So I think that diplomacy really did work, and I think any travel that any of the ministers did to the U.S. in the last 2 or 3 months, had whether it was the main focus of the trip or not.
Thank you. That's all the time today. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.